Hello, 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 and welcome back to my show, Spin Cycle Live. I'm your host, Nathan Hale. Today, we have another great episode for you all. I know that we've been dealing with a lot over the past week with the death of Charlie Kirk. Believe me, we'll be talking more about that later in this episode. I got a lot to cover, few stories beforehand, but I have kind of an overarching theme with this episode, so please stick around till the end. There's a lot that we're going to go through. I have tweets to show, I have stories to talk about, so we'll get right into it. But I hope you all are doing good, or at least as good as you can be right now. I know that I still have ups and downs. I think we all will for quite a while. I knew Charlie. I've met him. I have been a member and a president for one of his Turning Point chapters for years at this point, and it was a big loss for all of us. So if you want to see my retrospective and uh, my views of the whole matter that's going on for the most part, I have a video up on YouTube, and you can find it on Rumble, you can find it on X, you can find it on all the platforms you would normally see the show on, where I kind of go through all of it. I went through it on September 11th. So a few days ago now, and I'll be working on a article for my Substack, kind of talking about my greater thoughts on the matter and kind of what I'm seeing happening in the American public right now. So be on the lookout for that. I'll announce when it happens. I'm still working on getting the video together for my last article that I wrote. So be subscribed to the YouTube to see that one come out. But yeah, I guess let's go and get into our very first episode of the day. So this comes from Fox News. So, very interesting thing that's happening with the National Guard right now in relation to Donald Trump. So, Trump orders National Guard move to Memphis in new crime crackdown. So President Donald Trump signed a memorandum Monday establishing a task force to address crime in Memphis, Tennessee, akin to his initiative cracking down on crime in Washington. Quote, I'm signing a presidential memorandum to establish the Memphis Safe Task Force, Trump said in the Oval Office on Monday. And it is very important because of the crime that's going on, not only in Memphis, in many cities. And we're going to take care of all of them a step by step, just like we did in DC. Trump said the effort would include the National Guard, the FBI, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, and the Drug Enforcement Administration, Homeland Security Investigations, and Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Quite the task force. So Trump said in a Friday interview with Fox and Friends that Memphis, Tennessee is troubled and that we're going to fix that just like we did Washington. Trump initially mobilized 800 D.C. National Guard troops to reduce crime in Washington August 11th. Additionally, National Guard troops from Ohio, West Virginia, South Carolina, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Tennessee were dispatched to support the Trump administration effort. It is very important because the crime that's going on, not only in Memphis, in many cities, Trump said Monday. The task force will be a replica of our extraordinarily successful efforts here, and you'll see it a lot of the same things. So I think it's great that we are trying to get law enforcement control in a lot of cities. And let me tell you what I believe the Trump philosophy is with everything that Trump does in the White House. My philosophy is that Trump has an idea. Okay, Trump has an idea. He acts on that idea, and then if it's successful, he does it again. But if it's not successful, he stops. Or if he reaches a hiccup, he tries to find a different way to execute that idea. So let me give you an example with the whole DC National Guard thing, okay? So Trump puts National Guard troops into DC, drastically cuts down crime. Like I said, the jury will not fully be out on crime until we get like at least a years of data coming out from this. So I hope that the National Guard sticks around for quite a while so we can really see what the numbers look like, the differences are. But I suspect it's working better than we would like to think it is. At least that's what I'm choosing to believe. Um, so Trump then tries to go and say, okay, well, it worked in DC. Let's expand out. Let's try to go to New York. Let's try to go to LA. Let's try to go to Chicago in particular, right? And the governors of all those states were very adamantly opposed to it, which is understandable. And, I disagree with them being opposed to it, but they are the governors of that state, and they do have the right to be opposed if they want to. And I think we start to get into some murky waters when the federal government starts policing local issues and the governors are not on board with it. I think it's one thing if it's a mayor and like the state's governor is fine, but I think when the governor is against it, it's kind of a mixed bag, right? I can see the legal waters kind of, riling up a little bit. So instead, Trump says, okay, Illinois, New York, California, forget you. Let me call up a governor who likes me. So he calls up the Tennessee governor and says, hey, can we send National Guard troops to Memphis? See what happens. Governor's like, yeah, sure, let's go for it. So now all of a sudden, the whole structure of how this has been organized has changed. And now we can say, as conservatives, as Trump voters, hey, Trump wants to cut down on crime. He cut down on crime in DC. He's going to be cutting down on crime in Tennessee. So when those results start to come back and we see a drastic dip in the climb because of what Trump is doing in National Guard, it starts to look really bad for states like Illinois and California and New York. And we say, why didn't you take the opportunity when we were offering you resources to help better your city and your state? Why didn't you take those resources? Look at Tennessee. When we offered it to them, they jumped at the opportunity to have National Guard in the state. Why didn't you? So that's my Trump philosophy, is that he tries something, he tries to expand it out if it's successful, he stops doing it if it's not successful, or he finds a different avenue to do it if it is successful in one area, but he's getting opposition from another area. That's exactly what happened with National Guard here, and that's what I see going forward. So, great job, Mr. President, like always. Gotta love the man. Like I said, don't agree with Trump on everything, but I think he's a net positive for America. All right. So here's an article from The Hill with that's a progressive commercial. I was like, is that one of the liberals that they're talking about in this article for a second? Whoa, okay. We're just going to try and cover that up for a moment. So from The Hill, so liberals more likely say political violence sometimes justified in a poll. So this was interesting to me. I'm like, I got to read through this and see really what this looks like. So don't just take this to mean that a majority believe this, but let's read through the poll first and then we'll talk about it. Get past that garish progressive commercial. Jeez. All right. So Americans largely agree political violence is never justifiable. That's important to hear. I've been seeing a lot of yammering happening online that is trying to suggest that we are somehow pitted against each other. This is somehow civil war territory, right? We're not, right? Americans largely agree political violence is never justifiable. I want you to remember that as we read through this article. But a new poll shows liberals are more likely than conservatives to say violence can be warranted in order to achieve political goals. In the YouGov survey conducted in the immediate aftermath of the fatal shooting of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, 72% of Americans said violence is never justifiable. 72%. It's a big number, right? That is the vast majority of Americans. Violence is never justifiable. Case closed, right? But there's still like a quarter who say that it could be. So 72% of Americans say violence is never justifiable, while 11% said it can sometimes be justified. Another 12% said they're not sure, and 6% preferred not to say. Right off the bat, I just want to say, if you were asked if political violence is ever justifiable or not, would you answer with not sure or prefer not to say? So I just think let's lump that all in to can sometimes be justifiable, because why would political violence ever be justifiable? Let's be honest for a second. When would it ever be? And if you were asked that, why would you ever say that it could be or you weren't sure? That's a pretty clear question, I feel like. So I'm just going to stick with saying 25% say it could be justifiable. So the question asked respondents if they think it is ever justifiable for citizens to resort to violence in order to achieve political goals. Very clear question, right? The September 10th poll showed that more liberal responses were, the more likely they were to say violence can sometimes be justifiable. So the more liberal you are, the more likely it is to say that it is justifiable. So the more left you are, the farther down the spectrum you go, the more likely you are to say it's justifiable. So a quarter of respondents who identified as very liberal said violence can sometimes be justified to achieve political goals, along with 17% of those who identified as liberal, 9% of moderates, 6% of those who said they're conservative, and 3% who identified as very conservative. So, I mean, let's just even like round out the spectrum here. So we have, I mean, 6% of people are conservative, 3% are very conservative. So 9% total people who said they're more conservative. That's the same as the moderates, right? And then you have 17%, and then a quarter of people identify as very liberal say that violence could be justifiable, while only 3% of those who are very conservative said. So totally opposite side of the political spectrum. But like 5 times more likely, not even 5 times more likely, like way more than that, almost 10 times more likely to say that violence is justifiable if you are far left versus far right. That's a big increase, right? And, 9% or 3% or 17% or 25% might not sound like a lot. But when you're considering that it only takes one person to commit a crime, that's a lot more. Young Americans were also more likely to say political violence can sometimes be justified. 26% of liberals under 45 years old compared to 12% of liberals under... 26% of liberals under 45 years old, compared with 12% of liberals 45 and older, said political violence can sometimes be justified. So 26% compared to 12. So if you're under 45, which, let's be honest, is the main base of the far left movement in the United States today, you think that violence can be sometimes justified. 12% moderates under 45 years old compared to 6% moderates over 45 years old, so double for young, and 7% of younger conservatives compared with 4% of older conservatives. So much smaller side of for the conservatives, but still it's about double. I'll get into that in a second. So another YouGov Snap poll taken 2 days later showed 18% of liberals, 7% of conservatives, and 6% of moderates said violence is sometimes justified to achieve political goals. A September 11th Snap poll asked respondents whether it's acceptable for a person to be happy about the death of a public figure. They opposed. Liberals were again more likely to say it's usually or always acceptable to be happy about a public figure's death, with 16% holding this position, including 24% of very liberal respondents and 10% who said they identify as liberal but not very liberal. Only 4% of conservatives and 7% of moderates held this view. Democrat leaders have condemned the Kirk shooting and political violence broadly in the wake of the assassination. A growing number of reports, however, indicate people across the country have been losing their jobs for allegedly making comments celebrating Kirk's death. Good, they should. We'll get into that in a second. The September 10th surveyed 2,646 U.S. adults with a margin error of approximately 2.5%. The September 11th survey was 4,000 U.S. adults, and the September 12th with 3,000 adults, all with around the same margin of error. So pretty good sample size when we're talking about it. So it's just mind-blowing to me. And I want to be clear. I want to see that number on the conservative side be 0, right? 0% of conservatives believe that violence is ever the answer. 0% of conservatives believe it's good to celebrate someone you oppose's death in the United States. I want that number to be 000. And we talk about, okay, so we have a lot of Democratic leaders who have said that this was a bad thing that happened. Where are they saying that this number should also be 0, right? This is a big deal. 25% of liberals believe that it's okay to commit violence against someone you oppose. I mean, or even just take the number that they gave. Let's see. 11%. Where's the liberal number? Let's find it. So a quarter of respondents who identified as very liberal said violence can sometimes be justifiable. A quarter of leftists, of far leftists, think that it's okay to commit violence. Right? Where are all of the Democratic leaders saying it should be 0? That should be 0, guys. Should be 0. It's because we've installed this incentive structure that allows people to get away with things like this and allows them to be celebrated and not frowned upon in our society, right? I'll give you an example. When people post tweets online, this was a big thing that happened not too long ago with the whole 8647 thing, where people are posting photos and stuff on Twitter and stuff suggesting that Donald Trump be axed, be 86'd, be taken out. And it was just celebrated by the left. I mean, we had people like James Comey posting 8647 on social media, right? And where were all the Democrats to say, hey guys, we really shouldn't be talking about taking out a president, especially a president who was shot and was almost killed like 2 or 3 times during his campaign. Like, this is kind of nuts. Like, we probably shouldn't be doing this, right? Where are they at? So it's the incentive structure that allows this to be perpetrated. And yeah, it's all fine and dandy if you want to say this isn't a good thing at the time that's happening. But how are you actually going to execute that going forward? Oh, and by the way, when we want to have a prayer for Charlie Kirk in the House of Representatives, why are we booing? Why are we booing? And don't tell me it's because there was a school shooting that took place that exact same day. That is not a fair reason to be booing. Where were the Democrats, right? If I was a Democrat, let me tell you this. Not that I'd ever be a Democrat. I don't even like to think about that thought. But if I was a Democrat in Congress and my Republican colleagues got together and said, hey, let's have a prayer for Charlie Kirk, I'd step forward and say, hey, can we have a prayer too for the children who lost their lives in this school shooting as well? I cannot think of one conservative who would have said no to that, right? Can we do both, right? Can we have prayers for everyone? But no, instead of saying that, they go boo. They say, no, we're not going to do that. Boo, bad, right? So where were all the Democrats when that happened? These were the same Democrats who said that Charlie Kirk's assassination, should be absolutely condemned, and we should not perpetrate violence in our country. Where are all these Democrats now when we're booing the man in Congress, right? But it's because Americans don't watch C-SPAN, and it's because that doesn't get spread around by mainstream media. It's because Americans look at social media, and that's it, right? They don't actually see what's happening behind closed doors. They don't actually see what's happening in the news media because they really aren't watching it anymore. But I have some things to show you later. Just disgusting. All right. So JD Vance hosted the Charlie Kirk show yesterday. It was great. I watched it. I think Charlie would absolutely be honored to know that that the vice president hosted his show. I mean, what an amazing compliment that we as alternative media, we as conservatives, we as activists have become so powerful and have so many eyes on us now that we have the attention of the White House, right? I mean, let's be real. This is the first administration that has actually gone and done like alternative media stuff, right? They're bringing them into the White House press room. They're going on shows like the Charlie Kirk show. I mean, our own vice president of the United States, put politics aside, our own vice president is taking time out of his schedule to host a show that was fully built from the ground up by America's greatest organizer. What a compliment. And it should give you so much faith in our country that this is where we are right now, frankly. Not that someone like Charlie was assassinated, but that our voices and our movement is so strong that we completely have the attention of the White House. That's never happened before in U.S. history. It's the first time ever. All right. So from the Daily Wire. So J.D. Vance, there can be no unity with those celebrating Charlie Kirk's assassination. So Vice President J.D. Vance said that there can be no unity with those on the left celebrating or making excuses for the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Vance made the comments as he guest hosted the Charlie Kirk show on Monday from the White House. Vance said that the country can only come together once the problem with political violence coming from the left is acknowledged and dealt with. We just gave you empirical facts from a YouGov poll that prove that that statement is 100% true. Quote, I really do believe that we can come together in this country. I believe we must, but unity, real unity, can be found only after climbing the mountain of truth. And there are difficult truths we must confront in our country, Vance said. One of the difficult truths, Vance said, was that political violence was not a both sides issue. Quote, if both sides have a problem, one side has a much bigger and malignant problem, and that is the truth we must be told. The problem has terrible consequences, he said, pointing to the assassination attempt of President Donald Trump and shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise back in 2017. We forget this so fast that Steve Scalise was shot too, right? Pour one out for Steve Scalise, guys, right? Like, so he's a good guy. So I wish Steve the best. He's doing a good job. So, quote, by celebrating that murderer, apologizing for it, and emphasizing not Charlie's innocence, but the fact that he said things some didn't like, even to the point of lying about what he actually said, many of these people are celebrating an environment where things that are inevitably going to happen, Vance said. There is no unity with someone who lies about what Charlie Kirk said in order to excuse his murder. Yes, and people are lying about what Charlie Kirk believed. People are now taking the internet, and we have tweets later to show, saying that Charlie Kirk said this, Charlie Kirk believed this, blah, blah, blah. First off, how disgusting of you to try and get publicity and shoot down verbally and discredit a man like Charlie Kirk. We're not even a week after he died, right? After he was assassinated in front of thousands of people, by the way. We have that to talk about in a minute, too. Stay tuned. We got like to see all these tabs at the top of my screen. Lots to get into. So Vance encouraged people to continue calling out others on social media if they celebrated or mocked the death of Kirk. People from across the country, from airline pilots to university professors, have been disciplined over a post belittling Kirk's death. Quote, so when you see someone celebrating Charlie's murder, call them out, and hell, call their employer, Vance said. We have that to talk about in a second too. Quote, we don't believe in political violence, but we do believe in civility. And there is no civility in the celebration of political assassination, right? Fantastic. He said that the Trump administration will be working to, quote, dismantle the institutions that promote violence and terrorism in our own country and encourage Americans to get involved politically. Quote, I can't promise you this is going to be easy. He said, I can promise you that all of us will avoid Charlie's fate. I can't promise you that all of us will avoid Charlie's fate. I can't promise you that I will avoid Charlie's fate. But the best way to honor him is to shine the light of truth like a torch in the very darkest places. Vance concluded his remarks by pointing to the passage in the New Testament that talks about putting on the full armor of God. Quote, "Let us all put on that armor and commit ourselves to that cause for which Charlie gave his life, to rebuild the United States of America, and to do it by telling the truth." Gotta love our vice president, man. I love our vice president. Best vice president of my lifetime, hands down. Gotta love our vice president. He's a great guy. So he's completely right. We have to shine the light of truth on these terrible, awful, deranged people. We have to continue pushing forward Charlie's message. I've been so proud to see people like Ben Shapiro, people like Megyn Kelly, and so many others out there saying that they're going to continue their university tours going forward. They're not backing down. They're not stopping, right? I'm interested to see how they're going to go about doing them and have increased security so this doesn't happen again to one of them. But I'm so proud to see that this is happening. This is continuing forward. So we're a strong country, and we have strong fighters in our country, and we have so many strong people on our side, which, by the way, has frankly become the moderates. The left has been going more and more left, and the right has going more and more and more center, right? And so great thing. So speaking of calling employers, so I have one story here of an employee who actually was fired over allegations. So University of Clemson University fires employee who allegedly urged others to be like Charlie Kirk's killer. Right? And this is not the only person, by the way. I have seen probably at least 100 or so people, if not more, who've all been fired from their jobs because of Charlie Kirk, because of saying negative things about Charlie, because of, raising a glass to his killer, right? How disgusting. These are honestly vile, disgusting people. And J.D. Vance is right. People who celebrate a killer, we can't find unity with those people, right? But what we can do is we can keep pushing forward, and we can keep creating unity with the people who actually make up the blunt of our country, right? Maybe 25% of far leftists in the United States believe that political violence is okay, but the far left in our country is dying out little by little, day by day, and they're getting smaller and smaller and smaller. The left in general is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So it's really only becoming the crazies now, right? So let's talk about this. So bowing to public pressure and the threat of state funding cuts, Clemson University's Board of Trustees have fired one of 3 employees accused of posting disturbing celebratory messages about the assassination of conservative icon Charlie Kirk on social media. The board met Monday in executive session, emerging from the special meeting with a statement of action. Quote, "Following an immediate and deliberate investigation into inappropriate social media content, Clemson today terminated an employee due to their social media post," the university announced. Clemson also said it has pulled 2 faculty members from their teaching duties after notifying them to stay out of the classroom. Administration officials said they will, quote, "continue to follow required processes with urgency," but officials cited personal matters in refusing to identify the individuals. Based on the context of the press release, it appears the university has fired Robin Newberry, the longtime Clemson asbestos program manager, reportedly grotesquely mocked Kirk's murder on Facebook. Quote, so this is what she said. Quote, "In a world full of Charlie Kirks and Brian Thompsons, be a Tyler Robinson or Luigi Mangione," Newberry allegedly wrote, according to a screenshot posted by Clemson College Republicans. The post refers to Kirk's alleged assassination and the accused killer of health insurance executive Brian Thompson, Mangione, who is charged with fatally shooting the CEO in the back. So, yeah, I want to bring that up too. We saw political violence from all the people who came around and supported Luigi Mangione. Right? This is an entire group of people who thought that killing a healthcare CEO was an okay thing to do, right? In the United States, killing anyone is never okay, right? And we are the side right now who is truly preaching that. We've been consistent on too. When Steve Scalise was shot, we said it was the wrong thing. When Brian Thompson was shot, we said it was the wrong thing. When Charlie Kirk was shot, we said it was the wrong thing. When Donald Trump was shot, we said it was the wrong thing. But yet we have still consistently had a side in the United States that has stood up for killers and shooters and said that, oh, because they went after someone I don't like, it's okay, right? Oh, because the CEO of a healthcare company was shot and I don't like healthcare in the United States right now and it should be more affordable, it's okay. It's okay. No. What is okay in the United States is doing what Charlie Kirk did, which was having arguments and civil discourse amongst his peers at college campuses, bringing people who disagreed with him forward, and having honest debates with them about what they feel and what they believe, right? What Charlie Kirk believed was if you are not sure what you feel about Brian Thompson's murder, come and talk to him and have a discussion and say, you know, this is what I think. I think that Brian Thompson was a terrible guy, and I want to know why it's so bad that he was shot. Well, now you can talk to Charlie about it. And now you can have an actual honest conversation about it, and you can leave that saying, oh, well, I guess those were some good points. I guess he really shouldn't have been shot. You know, he wasn't the awful person the media made him out to be. And I just want to point out, these same people on the left who are saying all these terrible things about Charlie are saying, oh, you know, I don't deserve to lose my job over this. I lost my job over expressing my free speech rights, which, first off, your free speech rights only have to do with what the government has to say, not with what your employer has to say. But, you know, I've seen people online, I posted a video about it saying, oh, you know, I lost my job over my right to my opinion. Yeah, well, Charlie lost his life over his right to his opinion, right? I would hardly say that losing your job is at all equivalent to losing your life. Maybe don't be so crazy. Maybe don't post things on the internet saying, oh great, you know, I love this killer, right? Maybe don't post things on the internet romanticizing a murderer. Just saying, there's some easy things. There's some easy things to do to avoid this happening to you folks. All right, so I want to show some tweets now. So I saw this tweet this morning as I was getting the show ready. This is Democratic Senator Scott Wiener. He's a California state senator. He's on the budget committee, and he's passionate about healthcare, climate, and making it easier to build housing, transit, and clean energy. Oh, so nice. So here's what he said. So he said Charlie Kirk did not deserve to die. So I saw them like, okay, great. Another Democrat saying it's bad that this happened. Also, Charlie was a vile bigot who did immeasurable harm to so many people by normalizing dehumanization. Yes, having debates on college campuses is a good thing, but dehumanizing people and persuading others to do so is horrible. The redheaded libertarian tweets, is vile bigot dehumanizing? Also, as someone into sterilizing little kids and writing laws that make raping a 14-year-old not necessarily rape, I think you hold the monopoly on vile. 100%. I tweeted after this that you people are so stuck on stupid that you can't take accountability for your own actions. Charlie literally brought people who disagreed with him to the front of the line. He had respectful debates with them. You want to know what is dehumanizing? Calling Charlie a vile bigot. People who say things like this about Charlie never watched a Charlie Kirk video. I have watched just about every single college debate that Charlie's ever had. I've watched them since the very beginning. I cannot think of a time that Charlie ever said anything dehumanizing. They point to this and say that, oh, Charlie didn't respect trans people. Yeah, Charlie didn't use the preferred pronouns of trans people and certainly said that they suffered from a mental illness. But suggesting that that is grounds for dehumanizing and vile, and he's a vile bigot because of it, I think is completely insane. And shame on you, Scott Wiener, for posting something like that not even a week after the man has lost his life. Going through, my entire political career, I've always thought to myself, would the wives of these people who I'm tweeting about, would they be upset with what I was saying? And particularly about Charlie, right? I tweeted a lot about how I felt about Charlie, my experience with him and everything. I've always had in the back of my mind, if Erica watched this video of me talking about her husband, if she read this tweet, would she be proud of me for saying that or not? So Scott Wiener, do you think Erica Kirk would be happy to see what you posted? I certainly think not. I'm glad you don't think he deserved to die. But calling him a vile bigot is exactly the behavior that leads people to shooting the man. Calling people fascists, calling them dehumanizing, calling them vile bigots is what radicalizes people to go and commit crimes. I'm not saying that the right doesn't do it, because they certainly do it at times. But it is nowhere near as extreme as when it comes from the left. And I want to see on the right, right? I want zero members of my side of the political aisle to believe that killing a man is ever okay, right? Right now, what we see, 9%, 7%, something like that from that YouGov poll, right? I want it to be zero. I want it to be zero. Scott Wiener doesn't think it should be zero. Scott Wiener is actively feeding into the machine that radicalizes people. Because they see stuff like this and they say, oh, he was a vile bigot. I've never once seen a Charlie Kirk video, but Scott Wiener says he's a vile bigot. By the way, Scott Wiener has like 200,000 followers on Twitter. He's not like a small person online, right? He's a California state senator. He's in government right now. He could be in a committee hearing right at this very moment. I don't know. But someone who I respect, Scott Wiener, he's an elected representative. He's someone who's fighting for my rights and my freedoms. He says that Charlie Kirk's a vile bigot. Oh my God, he really was. And all these other people who are associated with Charlie Kirk, they must also be vile bigots. Do you see the connection that's built? The incentive structure that's put together. The fact that not every single Democrat out there immediately said to Scott Wiener, that is wrong to say. You need to take that tweet down. Insane. So I got another tweet. So let's criticize the right a little bit. So I've seen tweets like this coming out, and this has 1.2 million views. They've gotten a fair bit of attention. So these are tweets I've seen coming from people who are angry and upset about the death of Charlie, right? There are people who are on his side, right? Not leftists, not Democrats. These are people who support Charlie Kirk. I've seen a lot of tweets like this. So John Cullen tweeted out, was the bullet that killed Charlie recovered? No. So how did they know Charlie was shot/killed with a .3 to 6 round? Because somewhere in the woods they found an old rifle, a mile away, 2 miles away, 4 miles away. Who found it? Can we see the body cam footage of the moment they found the rifle in the woods? What connects that rifle found to be shot that killed Charlie Kirk? Nothing, until they find the bullet. So this is essentially accusing that the man they've arrested, who has admitted, I believe, to shooting Charlie Kirk, who was turned in by his father for shooting Charlie Kirk, who all evidence points to shooting Charlie Kirk, might not have actually done it. That might have been someone else. I've seen posts like this that have tweeted out that there were lots of cameras recording Charlie close up, that they should release that footage to the internet. They absolutely should not. Right, so I posted, not everything is a conspiracy. Let the FBI do their job. I believe in the Trump administration to do their jobs, to expose all of this. This is so insensitive to be speculating about his death, especially when we don't even know all the information. It's only been 5 days. Now, I'm not denying that it's possible that we haven't found the bullet or not, or whatever information the FBI has gotten. However, I believe that our FBI, that is being run by people put in place through the Trump administration, that is being run by Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and Andrew Bailey, all great people, will complete a thorough investigation into this and find all the evidence linked to this heinous assassination. Take off your detective cap, folks. Take him off. We don't have the same information that law enforcement has. You are not law enforcement. You are not law enforcement. This is a conspiracy. We cannot sit here and start arguing about how he was killed, why he was killed, who actually did, who didn't. Let the FBI do their job. Okay? And when the FBI releases their final report and they say, case closed, this is what happened, here are the facts, now we can start to have conspiracies. Once we have all the evidence in front of us. We don't have all of it right now, so we really can't say. Because who's to say that they didn't find a bullet somewhere, right? They're just not telling us, right? They have a right to. This is an open investigation. They don't know who else is involved in this. I'm sure there are other people. I've seen evidence pointing to the fact that there were other people involved in this assassination attempt, or at least behind the scenes in really dark corners of the internet, egging it on. So take a chill pill, guys. Sit back, let the FBI do their job. This is not the Biden FBI. This is the Trump FBI. This is the FBI that Charlie Kirk himself fought to get confirmed by the Senate. Fought to get put in place, right? Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, these are friends of Charlie Kirk. They knew him personally. I fully trust them to do their jobs in this matter. So, and to post on the internet that we need to see more body cam footage the moment that, I'm not saying this is what this person posted, but I've seen other tweets saying that we need to release the footage of when Charlie Kirk was actually shot. Shame on you. No one deserves to see that footage. That should be locked away in an FBI archive, far away from the prying eyes of the public. I frankly am still traumatized from the little footage that I saw on Twitter that was released, and I'm proud to say I was not someone who shared that. And frankly, shame on all the people of the internet who did share footage of Charlie actually being shot, right? I'm actually upset that I had to sit and see a hero of mine shot and killed right in the neck, the way that the footage that's on the internet showed. And I tell all of you, don't go and search for it. Don't go and watch it. You don't want to see it. So, yeah, my point being, we have people on the right who need to be corralled into a little bit. But we are on a side who looks down on this and says this is wrong, this is bad. I think a lot of the comments of this post are saying, I mean, let's just roll down. These are all people who are being replied to by this man who is pushing conspiracy theory. Here we go. Oh yes, we're using Grok. We're using AI for investigative skills now, right? Oh great, we're using AI. Gotta love it, folks. Gotta love it. So if you see stuff like this, don't share it. Don't comment. Don't give these people more power. Do not platform them. If you're going to platform them, say what I said. This is wrong. Shame on you. Let the FBI do their job, guys. So that's all I gotta say about that. Go move on to another tweet. So I have a video to show you all. So this is Jasmine Crockett. I have a couple of videos too. So let me play this video of Jasmine Crockett for you all. Let's see this.
Don't get mad that I speak the truth. I can say that your policies are bad. I can say you're a criminal because you have been found guilty of 34 convictions. Like, I can say all these things because they are true. That's not even just free speech. These are just facts. So don't get mad that I speak the truth and I speak facts, but I literally have never said anything to invoke violence. And I challenge somebody to go and find a clip of a Democrat invoking violence. I can say that your
So she says she challenges someone to go and find a clip of the Democrat invoking violence. So I've got 9 of them right here for you. I've got 9 right here. So let's play this.
Let me ask you tonight, do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do.
This is what kicking the shit out of fascism looks like.
Try to prevent the spread of the lawlessness and the fascist chaos that's been unleashed against us.
So when we say Donald Trump is a fascist, fascism, a huge component of fascism is uniting racism, bigotry, a form of racist nationalism.
We are now living in a fascist dictatorship.
We are worried about potential rise of fascism in this country. We're worried about our democracy falling to an authoritarian and potentially fascist form of government.
Not only to roll over to Donald Trump's will, but to roll over our democracy and allow him to take over this country as a fascist dictator.
When fascism isn't just coming, it's already here.
The former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, said, "No one has ever been more dangerous to this country than Donald Trump, and he is a fascist to his core."
So I just want to point that out, and the response from the left will be, oh, well, none of those people actually suggested that someone go out and shoot Charlie Kirk or try and shoot Donald Trump. None of those people ever said that they should go and do that. Here's what they did say. They did say that our country has fallen to a fascist dictatorship. They did say that Donald Trump is a fascist, right? And this goes back to what I was saying about incentive structures. The incentive structure is that we can just say someone is a fascist. We don't even know what a fascist is. We don't even know what a fascist is. The shooter, Charlie Kirk, may have believed that that Charlie Kirk was a fascist. Let me tell you who the true fascist is. The person who shoots Charlie Kirk because they're offended by the speech that he's given, by what he has to say. That's true fascism right there. That is silencing your political rival. That is silencing your enemy. That is fascism. Not what we're doing. Donald Trump's administration has brought more people into the White House. Donald Trump's administration consistently speaks day in, day out to the media. Donald Trump's administration has been very hyper-transparent. Donald Trump's administration has brought people from all walks of life. Gay, straight, black, white, women, men, Democrats, people like Tulsi Gabbard, people like RFK, brought them all into the administration. That's not fascism. Silencing your political enemies, trying to silence Donald Trump for doing that, that's fascism right there. But I don't even like throwing around the word fascism because, one, people don't know what it means, and two, it does get people riled up. Because when you think fascism, you think of World War II and you think of Hitler. You think of Hitlerian politics. You think of you think of World War II, Nazi concentration camps, and you think, oh, I hear fascist, I think Hitler. If I hear fascist in relation to literally anyone, I associate Hitler, I associate concentration camps, I associate evil, vile person. This person is Hitler reincarnated today in America. The connection between that and going and killing someone, I actually don't think is that big of a leap. And here's the thing, you might say also, oh, well, no, those people said Charlie Kirk is fascist. Yeah, they actually did. There's actually a whole lot of people on the internet who said that Charlie Kirk is a fascist or a vile bigot. He's dehumanizing people, right? So can you see how the speech of people, even though it does not directly go and say, oh, you should go and kill someone, can get people riled up and can warp the mind of an already mentally ill individual to go and kill someone, right? This is what I want to point out. If you're already mentally ill, if you already think that the right is your enemy, if you already think that Donald Trump or Charlie Kirk are your enemies, and you start hearing people saying, oh, they're fascists, or Donald Trump is fascist, Charlie Kirk is a huge supporter of Donald Trump, meaning that he's a supporter of fascism, right? Meaning that if I have the opportunity to take him out, I should. I don't think the leap is that great, is all I'm saying. And I think that anyone who's reasonable believes that too. And that's why I want to see everyone, regardless of if you're left or right, saying political violence, never acceptable. We want those numbers to be zero. When they do that poll again in a year, we want those numbers to be zero. That no Democrats, no Republicans believe political violence is ever the right thing to do. It should never be. I would say the same thing as someone like Gavin Newsom was shot. I would say the same thing as someone like Kamala Harris was shot. Right? This is never the answer. This is never the thing that we should do as a country. And I truly believe the rest of the world feels this way too. This is video of Britain. So over 1 million British patriots are gathering in London to mourn Charlie Kirk in favor of British nationalism and against mass third world migration. Absolutely stunning. The movement is alive and well. History is being made. Look at all these people in London. Millions of people showed up. I've heard reports it was 3 million. I've heard reports it was millions. I've heard all sorts of reports. I don't know if we have an actual number of how many people were there. But look, it just keeps going. It just keeps going and going and going. Right? This is in the UK. This is not even in America. This is a whole nother country, and yet people are showing up. They're coming from all over the country to protest and to stand in these streets and to say this is wrong. Charlie Kirk's death was wrong. What is happening in our country is wrong. And we're showing you that we are strong in our numbers. This is a powerful message right here. Hope Erica sees this. Look at how many people are here. It just keeps going. This is a minute. We still have 1 minute and 17 seconds of this clip left. It just keeps going and going and going across these streets. They're packed. You can't even see the pavement. It's wild. All right, let's talk. Let's go on to our next one. So, this is South Korea. So I tweeted out, I've been so amazed by the outpouring of love and support we have seen worldwide. This is South Korea, guys. South Korea. Let's watch this clip. And it just keeps going and going and going. This is South Korea. These are South Koreans marching with South Korean flags and American flags. This is South Korea, folks. This is absolutely crazy. I'm so blown away by the outpouring of love worldwide for Charlie. I never knew that he was so loved in other parts of the world. I thought he was solely an American guy. But people around the world watched him, and they're using him as a message for freedom for their country. Especially countries like South Korea, who largely have a lot of American values. I mean, they're largely capitalist countries. So honestly, good on the South Koreans for standing up. I'm so inspired seeing things like this. All right, here's another clip. So this is from Calgary in Canada, right? The Canadians are on our side. I see a sign that says, "Be the Charlie Kirk." I can't tell what the rest of it says. I see crosses. I see American flags in Canada. I see Canadian flags. This is Calgary. Canadians in Calgary paid tribute to Charlie Kirk by singing the American national anthem. Many were holding up signs saying, "I am Charlie Kirk," and "Be the Charlie Kirk we need in the world." Amazing. Impressive. I'm blown away. So many people shown up. I mean, this is not an insubstantial amount of people who showed up to this. It's amazing. And if that many people show up to this event in Calgary, how many of them didn't make it? How many of them couldn't go? It's beautiful. Here's a video from San Clemente, California. for a vigil for Charlie Kirk. Look at how many people are here. Thousands. Thousands of people are here for this. I mean, I can barely see the pavement with the amount of people who are standing. It's beautiful. It's a absolutely beautiful sight. And I am just so moved by the support and the outpouring that this man has received. And I wish this movement would have been here and would have been so vocal as they are right now before these events happen. So because I'm plugged into all this, and I had no idea that this many people were following him. I knew he had a lot of support, but I had no idea they're actually, it's one thing to see, oh, he has 5 million followers on social media, right? He has millions of views on YouTube and everything. So I think to actually see people, to actually see them in a group, right? And I'm glad these videos are being posted around. These are the videos that should be posted around the internet, right? These are the videos we want to see more of. Not body cam footage, not close-up shots of an assassination against the man. Videos like this. Hope his wife sees this. It's beautiful. I have one last video to show you. I actually have a couple. So this is a memorial that was paid to Charlie at the New York Jets game. New York Jets is putting up pictures of Charlie in the stadium during a game. Everyone in the stadium's seen this. It's amazing. They're not the only one. Pittsburgh Steelers held a helicopter flyover with American flags at half-staff in honor of Charlie Kirk. Here are the helicopters going by. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Dallas Cowboys paused before kickoff to honor Charlie Kirk with a moment of silence. They got him up in the Jumbotron, guys. This is crazy. It's crazy. Never before have I seen in America, like, guys, we won. We are winning right now. I know it's hard to see, but can you imagine the NFL posting in even one stadium a picture of anyone who's conservative a few years ago? Can you imagine that happening? I couldn't. Can you imagine a few years ago when we were in the height of Donald Trump being prosecuted, facing hundreds of years in prison, the movement that was built by people like Charlie, by people like Ben Shapiro, by people like Donald Trump, looked like it was on life support. Today, it is stronger than ever. And that's the message that I hope that America sees going forward. That's the message I hope you take away from this show today, is that we will continue to fight back. We will continue to work even harder. And Charlie's message will live on. And this show will continue. We're going to keep showing you the news that's going on. I'm going to keep talking about everything that's happening. We will continue to give you updates on what's happening with Charlie. And I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing. So I'm so proud of all the Americans. Like, let's give a shout out to all the Americans who said that political violence is wrong. Let's give a shout out to all the Americans who poured one out for Charlie Kirk. Let's give a shout out to all the Americans who disagree with Charlie Kirk, but still supported him, still felt that he had the right to say whatever he wanted on college campuses, and championed free speech, and never once said that violence was the answer. Let's pour one out for all of you all. So I commend your actions. I commend people like Charlie, and I commend all the Americans who have said positive things, who've said good things about what has happened. Not commending the murder of Charlie Kirk, not condoning political violence, but have said, no, it's wrong. And that's all I have to say to you all today, folks. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. We will be back here on Thursday with another episode for you all. I'm sure there will be even more to discuss. We'll be getting back into the flow of showing more news stories. I know this episode was focused a lot on Charlie today, but it's still very visceral in our minds what has gone on. But yeah, if you have suggestions for this show of what we can do better, what we can do worse, this show has gone on for almost double as long as I would normally. I've been talking to you for about an hour now. Yeah, let me know Follow me on Twitter. Let me know how I'm doing there. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and on Rumble. YouTube, we're going to have more content coming out on YouTube very soon. And yeah, you can find all my social media links down here. You can find a link to all of them in my my bio, my Twitter page. And with that, I have been Nathan Hale. This has been Spin Cycle Live. We will see you all back here on Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Have a great Wednesday, and until then, peace out.